That doesn't mean that solar is still not an opportunity for investment. It does mean that there are a wave of companies that are ahead of you that have raised more money than you do in a capital-constrained environment. So it's going to be harder for you. So in those cases where you've got a wave of companies in line before you, the bar is higher, and you have to do significantly better than people have done before. So there are a set of more mature segments. People are absolutely still investing in them. You know, I had solar up as an area. We're still looking, and I know many venture capitalists are. But you have to be absolutely cognizant that there's a bunch of people ahead of you who have raised a lot of money, and so you've got to do much better than them. In terms of sectors that are
a little too early.
A little too early. I don't know, again, that they're too early, but sectors that have been difficult to invest in and I think are immature are water management, water treatment, water conservation, and some of the areas around carbon. And I think both of these are young sectors still, because the market landscape is very complicated in both, and you need a level of entrepreneurial talent and business model sophistication from day one. And if you look at solar and biofuels in contrast, where a lot of investment dollar has gone, those are really technology breakthroughs. You have a great material scientist, you have a great microbiologist, you have somebody who can come in and just change the technical performance. You can worry about the business model issues downstream. In water and carbon, it's really all about market access and business model, and you need that insight day one. And we don't quite have the people in the industry yet that combine industry talent, entrepreneurial talent, and can stitch that together. So that's an area that's still young.
This next question is actually for you, David. Is there a design feature that you believe could make a big impact on the environment that has been extremely difficult to get support on or behind?
I'm going to start first by taking a quick step back and kind of segueing from Marianne's comments. I think one of the things I'm seeing, not just in China but here, is what I call the Levi-Strauss theory of business, which is to say a lot of people are continuing to go after the gold. They're the prospectors, the gold miners, the high-risk environments. But those are the driving industries, of course. But the supporting industries are equally, if not more important right now to build up. You know, the blue-collar to green-collar workers that are doing maintenance, the testing, the installations. And so all those supply chains have to be in place to enable all of this. Mm-hmm. So I think that's my segue. And in terms of design, it really is what Woody was saying. I've been working with Steve Chu and also his great team in Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. We did what we called a Purple Cow project, which is we took a building, one of our buildings in China, and we pushed the envelope to say how much can we get the energy and waste and water efficiencies and measure it in terms of carbon or energy. And we got it down about 70% off of business as usual towards net zero. We could not get it to zero. The only way we can get it to zero as a design feature is to hook it up to the central heating systems, the energy systems, and the water systems. So I think for us, the real challenge and the key is to think in systems rather than in separate individual design items.
Okay. This next question is for Tom and Suvi. Your backgrounds were not in clean or green tech. How is managing a clean tech company unique or different from managing a tech company? And Tom, I'll start with you.
Well, I don't think. Take the mic. Let this thing hang over my head. I don't think there's any difference at all. I think every entrepreneur starts a company with a mission, and there's obstacles to get over, and you know, there's certainly the financing of all the company, and you drive it. I think what drives an entrepreneur is the state of the situation, and the energy crisis is certainly exciting for someone like myself. I mean, I really, every day when I get up, I think I'm so excited to be in this field that I am in right now, and I'm sure it shows when I talk, but it's very exciting, and it stimulates the interest and the thought process, and I see that within the team especially at eFuel Corporation, is that everybody is extremely excited because they feel that they're part of something great that's going to change the world. And there's nothing better than that in driving a company.
So it's about the passion that the management feels about it, and that will come across in the leadership. It doesn't have to do with whether it's clean tech or biotech or...
No, not at all. Okay. Not at all. I remember, the days, certainly when the motion controller hit the market and was very popular and excited, there's a lot of recognition from the individuals that work very hard in the background that will never really get to the surface to say how hard it was to take a gyroscope and miniaturize it to something very small like the size of your fingernail. When we started up, something was this big. So, there's a lot of excitement and reward that goes amongst the people, and that's what is this fever you have in Silicon Valley. Once, my first job, I worked with Al Shugart in the disk drive industry, and I was the first product manager on a 14-inch 5 megabyte disk drive. And I felt that, at the time that this thing would never work. It had, crashes and seek errors and soft errors, and my God, it was like peeling off the onion. But I saw a determined group when I was very young work at this thing and peel that onion away until they finally fixed the problem. And now everybody knows Seagate. I mean, no one really has a hard disk crash. So that taught me a valuable lesson in Silicon Valley, that you can persevere if you believe in what you're doing. And you believe that you may not have all the answers when you start, but you will at the end, and that is the excitement, that the fever that grows in Silicon Valley. That's why you find entrepreneurs that when they leave one company, they go to another and they start another one, like myself.
Sure. How about you, Suvi?
I think I would agree that fundamentally it's the same. Managing a company and entrepreneuring is pretty similar in IT and renewables. I would also agree that from a just personal perspective, it's a lot more meaningful work. And that carries forward in everything that we do. There are a lot of differences, though, at a I would call it a execution level. One thing I was mentioning was the fact that we're producing a product that has to last for 25 years, and that doesn't just mean that the product has to last for 25 years, but if the product fails in year 13, the customer has to believe that Solaria is going to be around in year 13 to come and replace that. That's not something that I had to deal with in software or IT. So those are the kinds of differences. Recruiting people is relatively easy, actually, because most people want to get into this field. And so even though recruiting people with specific industry experience is hard, but in general it's a lot easier. I don't think you have to spend that much time on that. So there's differences like that, but at a fundamental level, it's managing a company. You have to hire the right people, raise money, find customers, develop a product. Those things are similar, but I think there are a lot of differences. And what I've seen is that some entrepreneurs or CEOs or management teams that approach it from a pure, this is just like another software or another IT device, I don't think that's a formula for success. I think you have to be aware that it's quite different at the execution level.
I'm sorry, Marianne, go ahead.
If I could just weigh in for a second here, too. I agree. I think a lot is very common in that it's about the passion and the innovation and the drive of the companies and the teams. But I think one of the things that is very, very different about clean tech than tech or biotech is that these are sectors and markets and customers that we're not necessarily familiar with. And so for you, both of you are selling more into enterprise facilities, and those are in some ways more similar to what we're used to. But you're still selling into maybe the facilities departments, or if they're not the buyer, they're certainly involved in the purchase. And for the most part, we don't have a lot of entrepreneurs that came out of facilities backgrounds.